In this video, I want to talk to you about the importance of downtime. And the reason I want to bring this up is because I've been talking to a lot of people lately who have been telling me that their major issue is procrastinating too much. And one of them in particular really struck me is a young woman who works 2 jobs and then is working to start a business on the side. So she works a full-time job and a part-time job. So she's working like 60, 70 hours a week, and then wants to come home after that and start working on another marketing project. Now, while that's possible, she's setting herself up for a solid 100-hour work week. And then when she's not working that 100 hours, she's, frankly kicking herself in the butt and getting mad at herself. And while I can see why somebody would do that, because honestly, I'm guilty of that more often than not, something that's important is to keep in mind that we really need downtime. We really need time to recuperate. It's easy to say to yourself, oh, I'm just going to work 100 hours a week, no problem, it's fine, I'll make it work. But when it comes down to it, there's a certain threshold that you hit, and then after that, your quality of work goes way downhill. It's super important to make sure that you have the kind of recuperating downtime that you need in order to keep yourself well balanced. And I know this is difficult to hear for a lot of people, but a lot of times when we're procrastinating, we're not really procrastinating, we're hitting a wall of burnout, and we need to pull it back and allow ourselves to recoup. So if you're in a similar situation to the one that this woman's in, or that I constantly find myself in, I want to give you a simple way that you can work through it, because this has been really revolutionary to me. And so what it is that you set up simple, small goals for the projects that you're doing. I like to think about it as like being in college again. At least when I was in college, there was a certain amount of reading I needed to do for every class. There's a certain amount of homework I needed to do. I needed to write a paper or whatever. And then after that, I was pretty much done. I didn't really focus on, studying a tremendous amount of things that were outside the purview of that class. I mean, I did, but, one shouldn't. One should focus on just doing the reading, writing the paper, moving on with their lives. And when you're taking a bunch of classes, it's really difficult to kind of juggle all this stuff unless you can get into a point where you're like, okay, I'm going to read this set of things today, then I'm going to write this paper, then I'm going to read this set of things, and I'm going to write that paper. And, your time kind of just ends up making itself work out like that. Like I know when I was in grad school, all of my classes had like 100 to 300 pages of reading every week. I was writing at least 5 pages worth of papers. A lot of weeks I needed to teach a class or to write like a 20-page paper or something like that, and it was crazy. And at the same time, I was studying hypnotherapy and getting my hypnosis practice set up. So I was exactly in the same position that this woman is in. I also worked a day job. And it was way too much. I really should have taken on a little bit less. But, all that aside, the thing that I'm really getting at here is that if you find yourself procrastinating too much, but you're a really high achiever and you're kind of overworking yourself, the best way to get through this is to focus on small, manageable little tasks that can move you forward in your goals. For instance, if you're trying to start a business, there are quite a lot of things that you need to get done. And there are some things that are really important and some things that are not so important. Kind of like in college, there's the reading you need to do and then the recommended reading. The recommended reading is nice, but you don't need to do it. You really just need to do the things that are going to get you through. So if you're starting, say, because I have experience in this, a hypnosis practice, you can set up a website, start to learn Google ads, you can learn SEO marketing, you can do all this kind of crazy stuff. Or you could set up a website and then pay somebody else to do marketing for you. You could set up a public talk every week. Or you could start going out and talking to people, go to referral groups or things like that. And really the best thing to do is to not focus on all those at once, especially if you don't have time, because then you're not really going to accomplish any of them. So what would be far better is to just choose one of them, say public speaking, dedicate yourself to doing a goal that you could actually manageably hit, say 2 public talks a month, and then spend 30 minutes to an hour a night when you get off of work or at lunch or something like that, working on what you're going to talk about, working on finding places to talk, working on scheduling those talks, and then actually delivering the talk. So for instance, if you can make it work, you could set up an hour a night to do this. The first couple nights, you'd want to figure out what you're going to talk about, maybe make a PowerPoint, make some kind of notes for what you're going to do some practice talks. Then you're going to want to start finding places to talk. Then you're going to want to start emailing them and working on that and moving towards that. Because if you're able to do this in little chunks, then you can actually move forward. The whole procrastination thing happens often, at least in my experience, because you have so many things stacked on top of itself. When you come home from a huge long day and you have even more crap stacked on top of itself, it's just hard to make yourself do it because it's looking like this big, huge looming goal. But if you set small, manageable chunk goals, it's a lot easier to get through. Something I really like to do is set a 30-minute, or an hour timer to allow myself to know, this is the time I need to talk. This is the time I need to work. This is the time I need to do these things. I have a certain series of goals I need to accomplish, and I have just that chunk of time to do it and no more. And not only is this really helpful for moving you forward in your goals, it's also helpful for allowing you to still keep having that free time afterwards. Because I'm the last person in the world to tell you not to take on too much stuff, because frankly, I always do. But what I would remind you of is that you only have so many hours in a day and you only have so much energy. And once you deplete that energy, it's over. And the more you deplete the energy, the harder it is to get back up to that level. So you need to make sure you have recuperation time, but you also need to make sure you get things done. So to kind of sum up my rambling here, the real key is if you are an overachiever who finds yourself procrastinating, that you need to make sure that you still allow yourself some downtime, but that you focus on just the tasks that are important for you to get through. Because if you kind of whittle out all the nonsensical crap or the kind of helpful, not really helpful stuff, then you can focus on the really important things that are going to get you to where you want to go. And then it's much easier to do those things because you don't have 1,000 things in your mind. You have like 5 things in your mind. And you've broken it down into little chunks, and you're only going to work for 30 minutes to an hour a night on it. That is the best way to run a business while you're working. Because if you think that you're going to work all day, then come home and then work all night, eat a really quick dinner and go to bed and just get up and keep doing that every day, I got news for you. You're going to burn out and it's going to suck. And you're likely going to find yourself procrastinating, which is not necessarily procrastination. It's more like burnout kind of starting to show itself. So do yourself a favor, and if you're trying to get something like this off the ground while you're working, just do little chunks and move forward with that. See where it takes you. Because right now, if you're not getting anything done, you're not getting anything done. But if you can get little chunks done, then you can move forward in your life and you can really progress. Anyway, hope this has been helpful for you. If you like what I'm talking about, make sure that you subscribe below. I'm going to be releasing more videos like this. I'm working on a stress relief book that talks about how to do more holistic stress relief by changing the way that you focus your life in general. So I'm going to be releasing more tidbits of information like this. If you've tried this method or have any questions or comments, just leave a comment below, and I hope to see you soon on the next video. Bye-bye.